Thanks for checking us out here on Sports Night. I'm Travis Raychek, and as Longhorn fans look for life from any of the big three programs on campus, you can see some optimism growing with the men's basketball team. The Horns are off to a 6-2 start. They had a real road win last time out at VCU, and now a chance for another resume-building win hosting Michigan. All right, let's do this. Darth Vader is on board. The Force should be with them, although Andrew Jones wasn't, and that was a little bit of a problem. So was Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman. Slices through the lane with the one-handed jam. The Horns' offense was stagnant early, but Dylan Osakowski wakes him up. Off balance, it goes, and he's fouled. The big men keeping Texas in it. Mo Bamba shouldn't always shoot from the outside, but when he does, he should do this. The Wolverines wouldn't back down. Abdur-Rahman, a crazy floater. That's going to drop in late in the first half. Reason to stand up for the Horn fans. Jericho Sims. Wow, emphatic finish and a little momentum and something to show off for with the new athletic director, Chris Del Conte, in the house. Could he help them pull through? Well, here come the Horns. In the second half, Osakowski starts playing with the purpose, then the freshman connection. Matt Coleman, leave it high and let Mo Bamba do the rest. When Bamba's assertive, he's really good. Here we go with Mo again, flashing in the lane, but Michigan never let up. An excuse me three off the glass from Rahman. And a night that started with hope ends with many questions about a stale UT offense. Lowest output of the year as they fall 59-52. The Horns struggling without their top scorer. Meanwhile, the Spurs getting back theirs tonight. Kawhi Leonard and the mysterious quad injury have reconciled their issues, and now number 2 can return to the court. Spurs have done okay without him, 11 games over 500, but what can they be with him? There's bucket number 1 of the season. A few more will likely follow this year. He actually hit his first 3 shots and then goes outside the three-point line. Played only 16 minutes, had 13 points second half. The Spurs come out of the locker room on a 7-0 run. Danny Green gets it, and San Antonio is out in front, but the sneaky Mavs roar back. Yogi Ferrell off the screen nails it. Mavs outscore the Spurs by 8 in the fourth. Not what was expected in Kawhi's return. The Spurs dropped this one to Dallas, 95-89. How about the Lakers in the Garden? Some guy whose son plays on the team sitting in the front row. Had good seats to see Kristaps Porzingis. It's not really necessary to shoot from that far, but why not when you can hit it? The Unicorn, 37 points for the Knicks as they knock off Lonzo Ball and the Lakers, 113-109. Dipping our toes into the high school pool of hoops. Del Valle at Austin High. First quarter, bit of a crazy sequence. Del Valle with the save as the ball was going out of bounds, but they save it to Austin High. Josh Jones ends up with it to Joe Kincaid, dials it up from deep. Still in the first, Calvin Williams driving for the Maroons, and he will get the floater to fall. Austin High in control most of the half, but here comes Del Valle roaring back near the break. Brian Wilson to Deion Crenshaw. He's got it dialed up. Later, it is Crenshaw doing the sharing. A slick, no-look pass down low to Zion Todman. Del Valle hangs on. Not a lot of points, but they have the most, 39-36. It's Final Four weekend of the high school football playoffs, and Austin is still heavily represented. Usual suspects there, like Travis, Westlake still going. McCallum and Cedar Ridge, though, they are in the state semifinals for the first time. And then there's Wimberley. The Texans have quietly worked their way through the bracket until loudly announcing their presence last week when they upset undefeated Cuero. The reward for that, Wimberley now gets to play another undefeated team in West Orange Stark. They happen to be the 2-time defending champs. They haven't lost in the last 39 games, but as Ricky Doyle explains, Wimberley has plenty of talent on their side, starting with the man under center. All right, only 2 weeks of high school football remain. Soak it in. A huge weekend upcoming. Here's your schedule. Cedar Ridge going back to McLean Stadium where they won 2 rounds ago. Westlake and McCallum, they will both be in Houston at NRG Stadium. And Travis Cady meeting at the Rock Pile in San Antonio.
Well, when Coach Jack was diagnosed with cancer, it hit us to the point to where we're not gonna have him like that much longer, and then we got to give him a ring before we leave, before he leaves. Yeah, that's how it is.
They played as hard as they could for their coach this season. LBJ inspired all year by Andrew Jackson, who was there as much as he could be while battling cancer. Tuesday, Coach Jackson lost that battle. A football fixture in this city, Jackson led some of the best Reagan teams in the early 2000s. The past 5 years, he's been the head man at LBJ. Coach Jack was diagnosed back in the spring with esophageal cancer, which eventually spread to his liver and lungs. Jackson had been in the hospital recently as his condition deteriorated, and Tuesday, he passed. Coach Andrew Jackson was 50 years old. One of the most dramatic World Series ever results in the Astros winning Game 7 over the Dodgers 5-1. Now Houston getting a chance to celebrate their first ever World Series championship.
Travis, tell us, is there hope for an upset?
There's a little bit of hope, and I will tell you why here in just a little bit. Let's set the scene, though. It's an undefeated 8th-ranked Baylor team that comes to town. On the other side, we know Texas is in a bad spot. After winning their first 2 games this season, they have now lost 4 of their last 5, and yes, they have to play the top-ranked team in the Big 12 today. No Tony Parker, no Kawhi Leonard, and they close out the Rockets in Houston with a 39-point win.
Other than that, they weren't great.
Right. And look, the Spurs get tons of credit for playing team basketball, and it gets used maybe too much. But this was a great example that everybody rallied, I guess you could say, around the loss of Kawhi Leonard. I don't think anyone played bad. Everyone contributed. Marcus Aldridge was great. He had 34 points, but every single starter was in double figures. It was incredible what they were able to do.
And
from St. Stephen's to Texas, now to the NBA, Brooklyn Nets first-round draft pick Jarrett Allen in studio with us. And Jarrett, about a year and a half ago, you sat basically right there, right after winning a second straight high school state championship. Since then, a lot has happened. Take me on the whole journey from picking Texas to playing in college to deciding to go pro and then being drafted by the Nets.
I was paralyzed for about 15, 20 minutes, couldn't feel nothing, from the neck down. Not be able to feel anything should be, scare anybody. Probably one of the scariest moments in my life.
A senior season just starting, gone in the first half of the first game.
Hard to miss my senior year and not to play with my teammates I've been playing with for a while since freshman year.
Keyshawn Somerville did regain feeling, but suffered a herniated disc compressed to the vertebrae that kept him from playing again this past season.
Let's go!
It was a lot to handle, but at the same time, it was probably the best, thing that could happen to me because it humbled me more and it makes me more anxious to even play at the next level.
The Hendrickson cornerback is healthy now, and he has his opportunity to play at the next level. Somerville will sign next week with TCU.
The way they treated my family, I wanted my family to be treated well by any school I chose. So I think that was the greatest decision I ever made.
Driven and determined not to let this injury halt his football future.
Things happen, so it's not making me, think a little bit, I should stop, it's just that injury, football, it teaches you life lessons. And I learned so much this year.
Somerville has been exposed to many of life's toughest lessons already.
My older brother is visually impaired, so he's legally blind, and he always supports me. He's my biggest fan, and he always, wants to come to the game. And I know he wants to play, but, due to, everything, he can't. So I really just play for him, play my heart out for him and my family.
You can bet Kamari will continue to be Keyshawn's biggest fan even with younger brother a few hours up the road in Fort Worth the next few years. For Sports Night, I'm Travis Raycheck.